Hey, Zakiah,
Mhm.
you have any idea what you're looking at right there?
A wall?
A wall? All right. Well, what you're actually looking at is a representation of cave paintings that are over 45,000 years old.
Oh, whoa.
And one of the things that's kind of interesting about the cave paintings that I've always found interesting is there wasn't these little small drawings. These drawings were huge. Some of them are life size.
Oh,
And it's man's early attempts to record his history and begin to record his understanding of the world around him. You know, some of these cave paintings actually have patterns painted of the lions in the same hunting patterns that modern scientists who study lions and stuff see those same hunting patterns. So you could almost say that the cave painter was letting other generations know that when they were out hunting for food, they would come across these lions who they were competing with resources, and they would study their hunting patterns probably for two reasons. One, so they didn't get eaten, and another one was how to sneak up on prey.
Oh, wow.
Anything like that.
That's so smart.
So, yeah, if your very survival depended on being able to communicate complex ideas and messages, cave paintings were an ideal way of doing that. And some of the animals and stuff that you see in these cave paintings have actually gone extinct. And in fact, this particular lion was a lion that didn't have a mane.
Oh.
And so these, you know, a lot of people thought these were female lions, but they're actually lions that at that time didn't have a mane.
That's so cool.
So it's kind of interesting to think back that somebody told a story that's 45,000 years old, and we're still able to see it and interpret it. And it is quite an amazing feat when man was able to start recording his history.
Yeah. Whoa, that's so cool.
All right, Josiah, this is an example of a cave painting from Spain. And what's unusual about this particular cave painting is that the artist actually used 15 variations of color to create a sense of depth. And as you can see, this kind of the stick figures, the very flat imagery, over the years, over thousands of years, they started to develop better techniques.
Did they have art school back then?
Didn't have art schools, but I will tell you an interesting story. Sometimes when they go into these caves, they see these handprints where people, you know, that did the art painted it. Well, they've also discovered children's hands.
Whoa.
So these caves were not some dark, dangerous place. They actually brought their children with them deep into these caves while they did their work.
Whoa.
And yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's kind of a family affair. And in fact, in some of the caves, there's multi-generational paintings on the wall. In other words, paintings that were 25, 30,000 and then paintings that were 15,000, then paintings that were a couple of thousand. So it was a multi-generational cave that they painted in.
Did these families live in the caves?
Believe it or not, some of them did, because what they did is when they've dug up some of the, I guess the flooring or whatever, they would find places where there was campfires. They would find bones from when they had meals. So these caves were not only a sense of maybe spiritual inspiration, but they were also to protect them from the elements, the cold, the wind, the rain, things like that. So they actually inhabited these caves to such an extent that they would paint on them and use them as a home base and everything. And like I said, thousands of years they used the same caves over and over again. So it's kind of interesting.
Ooh, like an estate.
Like an estate.
Generation.
Now, I know we're going to move this one out of the way.
Ooh.
Now, this particular cave painting, and I forget the location off the top of my head, what was interesting about this example of this is that the cave painters would actually go in and prep the walls. They would actually make the entire walls white, or like I guess used ancient resources to bleach the walls white before they painted on them. And when they did that, they were able to get these much vibrant colors. In other words, the cave paintings really started to display the color, because they started learning how to manipulate the substrate, the cave wall, make it white, that kind of stuff. That was kind of interesting about these cave paintings.
This is so cool.
Now, these particular types of cave paintings could be found in South America and Western United States. And a lot of them were stick figures in a way, but thing is, they would often depict groups of people, like maybe holding hands around a campfire or around a tree. There's some kind of ritual around a tree. And what was interesting about these particular cave paintings is they would show society interacting with each other, how they would have dances and stuff like that, and they would represent that in this imagery of dances and rituals and things like that. So that really started telling a more complete story as the group story, not just the individual story.
Yeah, it looks like they're having a party.
Look like they're having a party. Now, most people are familiar with the animals. What they don't realize is in a lot of these cave paintings, in fact, there's more of these types of imagery than there is the animals, where it was geometric shapes. And it was actually, believe it or not, like arrows and snake-looking forms and geometric rectangles and triangles and lines. And sometimes they would etch into the stone. Now, this is not truly writing, but it is the idea that a symbol could represent an idea or thought or an emotion that you normally wouldn't see in the real world. You know what I mean? All right. So that quantum leap of being able to make a geometric shape into an idea leads to a formalized written language.
An alphabet?
An alphabet, exactly. So that's kind of real quick history of cave paintings.
Whoa. I can't believe this led to the ABCDEs.
I'm telling you, give me 5.